Let's face it, most people look for comfort, technology, and fuel economy in their cars nowadays. But if you're part of the discerning few who's all about the driving dynamics and the driving pleasure that you get with a car, then perhaps this car right here is a great choice for you. This one right here is the 2022 Mazda 2 Premium Hatchback, one of the best driving cars in the segment. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. For the 2022 model year, Mazda Philippines has slightly revamped their lineup for the Mazda 2. Now you only have one trim level available, the Premium Hatchback, which we have right here. Also in the front, you have a slightly revised grille, all blacked out, looks really nice, very in line with the Kodo design language, new LED headlights, and you also get a lot of chrome bits down below, plus a slightly revised bumper. Towards the side, it may look rather basic and not much lines on this one, but it does look rather clean. You also get a set of 16-inch rims, all blacked out as well, but their tires that do wrap it are now skinnier than ever at 1/8.5s. I really do appreciate that here on the side though, the car has not really bloated in such a way as most of the cars in the segment have. Instead, the doors look rather streamlined and the rear part, the overhang, is still pretty short, giving you a very compact ride. Towards the back, you have a very nice looking shark fin antenna up top, somewhat of a deckled spoiler effect, a mandatory rear wiper. And what I love about the back part is that it's just so tastefully designed. Not too much chrome bits on this one aside from these tiny ones down below, but even the chrome on it looks very high quality. And now let's just take a page out of CarWow. Thank you, Matt Watson. And also, I apologize for doing this, but you do get a legitimate exhaust pipe, which this stick test hereby proves. Now, if you do open up your tailgate, it is incredibly light. And over here, you have almost 300 liters of space. You can even open up that false floor to reveal a space saver spare tire. Fold down the rear seats to carry longer and bigger items, and you're looking at almost 1,000 liters of space. When you do open up the hood of the Mazda 2, well, you're gonna see a very familiar engine. This is still the older 1.5 liter naturally aspirated gasoline engine from Mazda, making 110 horsepower and 141 newton meters of torque. The best part about this is that while its other competitors have been moving towards CVTs and dual clutch transmissions, this one still uses a conventional 6-speed automatic transmission. And as for fuel economy, it is not bad. In the city, you can do around 7.8 kilometers per liter, but when you do go over to the highway, you can do around 19.2 kilometers per liter. And now here inside the interior of the Mazda 2, check the door first. Sounds about alright for a Japanese car. The interior of this car is tastefully done. While it is clad in a lot of hard touch plastic, the way that it feels, it's so durable feeling. It's just pretty much well built. But the parts that do matter are covered in some soft touch materials. Here and even here on the center console where your knees would hit, those are all padded. The seats are pretty comfortable too. While you don't get lumbar support, all the other adjustments in this car is pretty good. You can really jack up your seats high, or you can also lower it a lot if you want a low seating position. Also, it is part leather and part somewhat of an Alcantara, and the leather part has this slight blue hue to it, which I really like. The steering wheel is multifunction with paddle shifters too. However, you don't get cruise control in this car, but you can adjust your steering, tilt, and telescoping, which is really good. You also get a heads-up display in this car, which is quite rare in this class. And your instrument cluster, it's so nice because it's so sporty. You do get a tiny speedometer that is digital, but your tachometer is dead center, giving it a very sports car vibe. The center display of the Mazda 2 is a 7-inch touchscreen. It's not the most responsive when it comes to touch, but it does come with wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. Despite it not being the best when it comes to touching it, this center knob right here feels very high quality and it is so easy to use. You can also use that to control that screen, and Mazda even gives you this tiny palm rest. It's just very ergonomic, and those little attention to detail really pays off. You add single zone climate control all with these knobs, and you also get a wireless charging pad, plus this really incredibly well built feeling shifter down the middle with these nice chrome accents, as well as your sport mode button. As for features in this car, you do get 2 of these tiny cup holders, you get 6 airbags, you even get smart city brake support, blind spot monitoring system, a lane departure warning, and driver attention alerts. Now here at the back of the Mazda 2, check the door first. It sounds about the same as the front, which is not bad overall. The back seats in this car is best reserved for children or smaller people or short journeys because while headroom is great and the car looks very airy, it's not very claustrophobic feeling. The issue here is if you're probably 5'11" or taller, your knees will start to function as the lumbar support of the driver. Now, seating 3 people in this car is also not exactly the best for long journeys because the center seat, it is rather narrow and the footwell is rather cramped as well. However, if you do go for short journeys, then this back seat is pretty much okay for 2 more people. Now we get to drive the 2022 Mazda 2 Premium Hatchback. The thing about the Mazda 2 is it feels incredibly old school. It doesn't super feel like a modern car. Yes, you do have the creature comforts of a modern car, but it still rewards you with the driving feel that new cars tend to no longer give you. And what that means is that you feel incredibly connected with the car. You know how Mazda goes on about Jinba Itai and how like the driver is one with the car. You really do feel it with this one. The power steering in this one, for example, it is already electrically assisted, but you don't really feel it when you drive this car. This feels weighted and direct and as connected as hydraulic power assisted steering vehicles. It simply is excellent. Handling in this one too, you really feel how the chassis is incredibly tight. It's just made so well. You know, this car was made to be pushed to its limits over corners. Despite this car having a torsion beam setup at the back, the rear end is not incredibly playful, so you can confidently push this over corners without really having to worry about the rear part hopping, as with most cars with torsion beams at the back. Power in this car, it's not really a lot. You have 110 horsepower. It's still part of the upper range of the cars in this class, but it's not groundbreaking in any way. However, just like one of this car's stablemates, the Mazda Miata, this car isn't really about speed. It's not about straight line speed. It simply is about the engagement that you get with the car. And we go back to the power in this one. In regular mode, it's more than adequate for your city trips. It's also okay on the highway, you want to overtake. But this is one of those cars with a very useful sport mode because you just hit the sport mode button and it really does hold your rev band a lot more. It's very prone to downshifting in a good way. It just becomes an incredibly responsive car. The transmission too, most of the cars in this segment already use a CVT, which is great for fuel economy and is also great for city trips, but there's just this sense of gears and engagement that you really do get with conventional automatic transmissions. And in that regard, I really do enjoy the transmission you get with this Mazda 2 Premium Hatchback. Now, what about NVH inside the Mazda 2? Noise-wise, you get a little bit of wind noise in the highway, but not much from the tires, oddly. Vibrations, also not much. Incredibly good for a 1.5-liter engine, even at idle. And as for harshness, that is something I really do have to commend the Mazda 2 for. It's quite rare to have a car this good handling with this stiff of a chassis, to have suspension as good as this. It definitely is tuned towards a more firm kind of ride, but it's not floaty, and it's just the proper mix for both your spirited driving as well as your daily cruising and commuting needs. Not only is it nimble, not only is it compact and so easy to push into tight streets, but your camera is also rather clear, and you don't only get a camera, but you also get reverse sensor. So this car is such a tiny car that this is the size I used to miss with older cars. If you really do enjoy those older, more nimble and compact cars, you'll definitely love the Mazda 2. Alright, now what about pricing? The Mazda 2 Premium Hatchback retails for 1,195,000 pesos. This car right here, it's not the cheapest, it's not the most comfortable, and it's definitely not the most technologically equipped car out there. But for the discerning car enthusiast who's looking for a very old school, a very connected type of driving experience, then you can't go wrong with the 2022 Mazda 2 Premium Hatchback.